Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tea Time with me, Amanda Prochaska. Today, we're going to be talking all about inspiring others. It's part of our 5-part series related to Alice, our methodology around the leadership skills that you need to lead change. So, cheers. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we dive into inspiring others, I just want to share this lovely, fun cup that the teacup that I have today. No particular story about it. I just love the design. Inside is actually a cup of cheer. It is a great kind of cinnamony taste, if I can say it. So it is so enjoyable. Especially if you need a little pick-me-up and you need that energy to go ahead and inspire others to greatness. So let's talk a little bit about inspiring others. This is our I in Alice. If you've been following along, the A is acting with authenticity. The L is leading with love. And now we're to the I, which is inspiring others. And I love this because as a leader, this was one of the most fun things that you can do when you're trying to lead change. It is when you start seeing the light bulbs go off and people are like, yeah, and they're getting jazzed behind what is going on within the change. Now, obviously not everyone is just going to fall in line. So you will have those, but I just loved those moments when we were leading change and when we're leading change for our clients, where people all of a sudden they're like, oh yes, I get it. I get where we're going. I get the mission ahead. And I'm right on board to help you achieve that mission. So there are, as typical in our videos, we go through 3 different aspects to consider when you're thinking about these leadership traits and how you create change. And by the way, little plug here, if you've liked our other videos, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. We would love to be able to share this content ongoing and help as many change leaders be successful in their roles. So with that said, let's go to number 1. Number 1 is paint a vision. This is something that a lot of the clients that we work with really struggle with at the beginning, because they're like, well, we're merging 2 companies, or we're deploying this technology, or we're doing this organizational change. And that's not really enough. In fact, I had one client at several years back who I went in and I said, okay, why are you doing this implementation? And he said, because everyone else is doing it. And I was like, well, that's not really a vision, right? Like, just because everyone else is doing it is not really why your company has invested in this and what you are going to become as a result of that. So when we work with leaders, it's really taking a step back and talking about, okay, well, what's the problem first that we're trying to solve? Because sometimes that generates a lot of good ideas related to where you're going to be. So what type of problem are we trying to solve, or problems? And then maybe we have to stratify those and come up with the top problems that we're trying to solve. Then when we go into setting a vision, we actually do, and this is something that you can do with your leaders, is we do individual brainstorming. So we'll go into a session and talk about the importance of a vision, but then we have each of the key leaders in the room write down their initial thoughts on what their future state is going to be. And that's really all about a vision, right? It's not describing the problem. It's not describing what you're doing. It's what you're going to become because of this change. So as I could give an example of my personal life right now, I decided back in October to drastically change my diet. And so my problem was basically being unhealthy. What I was doing, drastically changing my diet. But the vision is, who are you going to become as a result of that? A more active mom, a mom who has better heart health, one that can fit into her clothes better and feel better when she's in public and doing these videos. So hopefully that helps you understand that a vision is not, so often our leaders get focused on, well, we're implementing this technology and that's the vision. It's like, no. What are we going to become is the vision. And if you really can nail this, it is going to make such a difference in your change journey as you're describing to others and trying to get them to come along with you. You really have to paint that really clear vision of the future. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of caveats because we see a lot as we're working with our clients, as you could probably tell. One of the things that usually happens when we are creating a vision is, you could probably guess it, is that they become very long run-on sentences. Like there's a comma and a semicolon and it's like all of a sudden it's this paragraph long sentence because all the leaders came together and they didn't want to leave anything out, and it was so important to have everyone's input into this sentence. You do not want to do that. You also want to check jargon at the door. We see so often like the words optimize and all of this stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, but what really are you doing? What is the short, concise sentence of what you're going to become without jargon? And it takes a while. It takes a lot of different reiterations to get this nailed down, but it's totally worth the effort because a vision is one way that you can inspire others. If you can clearly paint that picture of where you're going, people can resonate with that. You also, if you do this right, you're going to understand the problems that you're trying to solve too, so you can empathize with people around their current problems and then paint a picture of the future. That's usually how we like to see our leaders do it. So you can be empathetic first and then paint a picture of the future. The other caveat that I want to give you, and this goes back to acting with authenticity, don't overpromise. Please don't overpromise. Like you also, when you're setting that vision and painting that future, there also has to be a conversation about all the hard work that it's going to take to get there. Like on my personal journey that I just mentioned earlier, it's a lot of hard work to change your diet and stay dedicated to that, but the results are worth it. So the way that you describe the vision is very important, using those problem statements to be empathetic, sharing the vision, but then closing out with, here's the work that we need to do collectively to get there. That's the best way to truly inspire others to greatness and what you need them to achieve. Okay, so that's number one, paint a vision for the future. Okay, number two is to clearly define success. Okay, now you might be saying, Amanda, you just talked about this, it's setting a vision. Actually, we're talking about something different here. We're talking about actual metrics. So study after study, they come back with, there's really two fundamental types of people. People who get motivated by that vision of the future that we just talked about in point number one. And then there's other people who are, I would say, more analytical, maybe more skeptical, and they want to see the numbers, right? So they want to understand, we're here today, but we're going to a different number tomorrow. And that number could be any number of different things. It could be revenue, it could be number of clients, it could be cycle times, it could be, I don't know, in the procurement world, late payments or number of electronic invoices. That it could be all kinds of different things. So the way that we like to do this work with our clients, as I described, we really start with the vision first because that kind of paints up the picture for the future. But then what we do is we say, okay, if we truly want to get there, and if we look a year from now, 2 years from now, and we're all around the table celebrating our success, what do the numbers look like? And of course, what happens is that we get like 25 different metrics and they're all over the board. Some of them have your current state, some of them don't. And so what we really try to do is say, okay, what are those 3 to 4 metrics, not anymore, 3 to 4 metrics that you can use to describe what that future state is going to be, right? So it's not all of your metrics, all of those other metrics that I referenced before, the other, 21 of them, can become operational metrics. They don't go out the door. They're more of a project team or operational team metrics to make sure that you can get to the ultimate 3 to 4. So the 3 to 4, though, are those that you're going to use to communicate that future state to the organization. You're going to measure those. If you can measure them pre-go live and then post-go live, that would be ideal. And then as you're celebrating the success of your go lives, you can clearly articulate to the organization where we did well and where we did not go well, where it did not go well. So hopefully they all go well, but usually what happens is you'll get like 2 or 3 of them being successful, and then there's one that's about there but a little bit lagging. So it's a really, really great tool to help make sure that those more analytical people are coming along and that you can clearly articulate at the end of the day if you've been successful or not. Now, I'm going to tell you a story here that happened to me in my last corporate job. So we had a very, very clear vision. We also had very clear success metrics. And unfortunately, what happened is we had a person in finance who was charged to do another initiative that could be seen as conflicting with our initiative. And so she started, this person started going around to the CFOs talking bad about the project that I was leading. I don't know, she obviously had her own motivations and incentives, and she wanted to do a successful job at her job. So, it happens in organizations, not ideal, but it happens. And I honestly don't blame her. I put a lot of the blame on myself for not bringing her in more into the project. But that's another story. So, but what happened was when we went, she would go out and talk to the CFOs, and then we would hear rumblings coming back from the CFOs about how the project was going. Then we would go meet with the CFOs, and we had concrete information about exactly where we were at with the project. And those CFOs, those same CFOs, approved those success metrics before the project was started. So it was a super handy tool when things get a little bit sideways, they get a little bit chaotic in a project. We were able to go into these CFOs and say, I hear your concerns, and this might be why that concern happened, but let's talk about the overall success of the project. And at that time, we had 4 different success metrics, and we were hitting all of them. So it quieted the noise quite a bit as we were moving through that pretty rocky time in the project. So I hope that you understand it's not only beneficial for your upfront change management for those analytical people, but it's also good for you to have those success metrics so that you can clearly articulate where you've had success in the project and how it was defined. So that is number 2, clearly define success through metrics. Okay, last one, number 3. I'm going to take some cup of cheer here. And this last one on how to inspire others through your change is all about action. Okay. I tell people all the time, I'll take sponsors on projects all day long, but I don't want just a name on the back of the t-shirt. I want a sponsor who is truly engaged in taking action, because what happens then? People are watching the leaders within an organization and if they're falling in line with the change. And so you can paint a vision, you can clearly define success, but if you're not taking action in accordance to what you're saying, it all unravels very, very quickly. So the best thing you can do is, and I know it's a cliche term, but get your hands dirty, right? Get out there and understand what people are experiencing today. See the problems that they're understanding. Talk to people that are in the day-to-day so they know that they're heard. And then when the appropriate time happens, show them that you are changing also, like that you're not an exception to the rule, that you are definitely part of this change and doing the hard work to accomplish what you need to accomplish. So one of my first change initiatives, I was just right out of college, and we were moving away from on-site travel agents to an online booking tool, which was like all the rage at the time. And I'm probably dating myself because I'm mentioning this story. But so about, 3 months after I took on that project, 3 months after graduating college, I was asked to present this change to the CEO of North America and all of his staff during his staff meeting. Could you imagine? Like, I was 21 years old, 22 years old, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going into this room and talking about this big change. And if anyone's worked in travel before, you know that anything related to travel, it's like you are rocking people's world. Like, it's a very, very personal thing for people to experience and change in travel policy, how they book travel, because it's just a personal thing. It's you being away from your family. It's and you're taking the time to be on the road to meet with clients, etc. So I was going into this meeting fully knowing that I was going to have to ask these executives to do the action, right? These travel agents knew the executives' wives' names, their children. They watched their children grow up. I mean, they were very, very close to each other, especially our head of sales. They were very, very close. And while we had a handful of travel agents that were staying on for booking international travel, really the rest of them were going to be going on to other things in their lives. So very tough conversation, but clearly articulated in the conversation that the only way that we were going to hit our success metrics, which was 75% online booking in the first 30 days of implementation, that was our ultimate goal. That was our vertical startup, if you will, of the implementation. I clearly said that if we are going to move forward, we need all of you to follow these parameters. And what will it take for you to get on board? And that conversation was glorious. I mean, giving them an option around how to move forward. And really it came down to making sure that their executive admins were really, really involved in the project, that they were doing the testing, that they had a community of a feel where they all would get together and share comments and concerns with us. So it was solutioning at its best. And when you can have your executives solution what they need so that they can action appropriately, it is the ideal situation. So what happened afterwards, we did hit our 75% online booking in the first 30 days, which was amazing. But we did have one executive who was not actually an active traveler, but one executive who asked for an exception to the rule. And I was able to go back and say, hey, do you remember when I came and talked to you about the success of this project and why we need you to show the support of this change? Do you really want to have this exception? Because if you do, there's going to be such adverse effects on everyone falling into this new way of working. And come to find out, they went onto the online booking tool. So it was awesome. But that's the type of action that I'm talking about. But as a leader, you not only need to do the actions yourself, but you need to make sure that all of the executives that are impacted by this particular change also do the actions per the change, right? So often we have exceptions for executives that are automatic, and things again start to unravel because people then look at it and be like, well, if the executive's not doing it, then why should I do it? Like it calls into question the validity of why we're creating this change. So those are your 3 tips to inspire others to come along on the change. So 1, paint a vision. 2, clearly define success. And 3, take action. Action speaks louder than words every single time. And if you do those 3 things, you're going to be able to inspire others to come along on the change, to be really jazzed about where you're going as a company, and excited for the change. So cheers to that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and click like. And our next video coming up of this 5-part series is creating community. So I can't wait to talk about that. Cheers. Have a great week.